Hi, I'm Kaylee.
I'm Ella.
I'm Haley.
I'm Talia.
I'm Ria, and our project is called Back on Track.
So our group created the Back on Track, aka BOT, as a solution to paralysis because currently that is a permanent disability. So our project proposal is a small exospine that will take stem cells from the body, transform them into new nerve cells, and replace them back into the body to replace the dead cells. And this product will also be able to have applications beyond paralysis, including training nerve cells to master various motor skills to give humans enhanced physical abilities. Okay, so let me go to this. Before our proposal, I'm just going to talk a little bit about nerve cells and stem cells and how they work. So basically, this is just the basic structure of a nerve cell, which has two major projections, which are called the dendrites and the axon terminals. And long strings of the dendrites connected to the axon terminals of another cell, impulses travel along these, and eventually they get to the brain, and that's how the brain receives information. And memories are formed on the strength of these connections. But when nerve cells are damaged, these connections can't happen. So the brain doesn't have any information, and that's when loss of control and feeling occurs in body parts, aka paralysis. So stem cells is something we're using as a solution to this problem. And stem cells can be transformed into many different cells for different functions. These are just a few examples. And there are two types of stem cells, which are called adult stem cells and embryonic stem cells, and these behave a little bit differently, which Talia and Haley will go into further.
So the inspiration for our model was the spine, obviously, because we're working with the spine. And so the inspiration further for our actual concept of how it works was natural bodily functions. So naturally, you in this process of how it works, you will be basically self-healing yourself with few modifications. And though paralysis is currently uncurable, they do have current treatments like physical therapy and acupuncture, which tries to benefit the affected bodies. Some previous examples is within the peripheral nervous system and the central nervous system. And for a while, people have been trying to regenerate cells in the central nervous system, but they've only been successful in the peripheral nervous system, and that's where we come in, is that we will be working to regenerate the cells and axons in the central nervous system.
Okay. So for our project, we created an exospine with a series of chambers with 5 in total when you don't count the computer chamber, and 2 attachments. Each chamber has its own specialized use. For chamber 1, we are genetically engineering the adult stem cells, which we will take from the hip, into embryonic stem cells, because adult stem cells can only change into one specific type of tissue where we extract it from, and we don't want to turn that into hip tissue, so we have to genetically engineer them to be more like embryonic. And we will be doing that by viruses and specializing them to only inject the DNA that we want them to. And then from there, that stem cell will now move to chamber 2, and that is with the cloning chamber. So by using specialized condensins, Y-tubulin, and enzymes to speed up the process, because we don't want to wait forever for these new cells. So we have more chambers within that second chamber. And once those chambers fill up enough, we don't want to overpopulate them and have them all die. So we have all those move into chamber 3. And chamber 3 is where it kind of simulates a womb, because the central nervous system's environment is too aggressive to naturally convert these stem cells into neurons and nerves. So we have to simulate the womb for that, and we will add some neurotrophins to make the stem cells turn into nerves and neurons and not just anything that may go. And then we will place myelin over the axon to protect it from this harsh environment, and there it will move to chamber 4. And in chamber 4, there's a permanent nerve and neuron lying in there, and the new nerve comes in between the two and interprets signals, and it's pretty much testing out the nerve to make sure it functions how it should. So it goes through that process a couple of times. This is also where the muscle memory comes in. but that will be explained later. And then it moves to chamber 5. The chamber 5 is the exit chamber. It is tested one last time, then released into the central nervous system's bloodstream. And the central nervous system's bloodstream is very specific in what enters and what cannot enter. And so it will not be washed out immediately, but the body will know what to do with it. It's like when you take a vaccine or an antibiotic, your body will carry it where it needs to go.
And this exospine will be powered using enzymatic fuel cells. And this is a really cool form of clean energy because it releases no harmful emissions and it uses substances already inside of you as fuel. So it takes the glucose and oxygen found in your bloodstream and it converts them to an electrical current, which powers the back on track.
Okay, the impact of our project proposal is that paralysis will no longer be a lifelong disability, and along with the Back on Track, we will also be utilizing these chips, and the purpose of the chips is to create muscle memory in the nerves over time. So to go more in depth on how they work, basically, the chips are inserted into a main chamber, and from there, electrochemical signals are sent to the chain of nerves, which over time, those nerves can anticipate and improve their muscle memory. So for example, it's like if you're a slow runner, using the chip will help you become a fast runner over time. So this chip also helps with decreasing the time needed in physical therapy, and it's also helpful to the entire human race because it enhances physical abilities. So we have a video.
Wow, I wish I could run like that. But who has the time to acquire those skills?
Do you want to learn a new skill without the work involved? Well, with the Back on Track or the bot, now you can. Simply insert this chip into your Back on Track. It will then program your bot to send the corresponding electrochemical pulses to train your nerve cells to be able to run fast.
Well, I'm not sure. Possibilities are endless. Let's just give it a try. Wow, that was amazing. What else can I do?
Why don't you see for yourself?
Throwing. Lifting. Sporting.
Wow, with bot, my life is back on track. Get yours today.
In conclusion, this is very futuristic technology, so a lot more research is needed on stem cells and central nervous system cells for it to ever be possible. But if it is, there could be a shift away from external technology devices, such as like smartphones, more toward internal tech devices that can be installed within you. And it could also create a new race of like bionic or cyborg humans with like robotic parts in them to give them enhanced physical abilities. And some discussion questions were, if you're able to learn these new skills instantly, you're bypassing all the training it would take you to build up your actual muscles, so will there be more injuries involved? And will there have to be more sports regulations for people who have these enhanced physical abilities? And also, if we're able to put in muscle memory directly into nerve cells, will we also eventually be able to input knowledge directly into your neurons? And will there ever be a way to prevent paralysis altogether? Only time will tell what technology the future holds for us. Thank you.
So this area right here, this is like the entrance area, and these are like the chambers. And this is the exit zone. It's very nice and shiny.